Good morning, good evening, and welcome to all the Warships. My name is Robin, and today we are going to sail in the Tier 6 British cruiser Leander. But first of all, thank you very much for tuning in the video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you will enjoy your time here. This is part 1 of the British Superiority series, where I will be playing all British cruisers from Tier 6 to Tier 10 in 5 videos. I fell in love with these ships not so long after they've been released, and even if at first that love seemed impossible after some bad experiences in battle, I came around to understand how to sail these beauties in a way that put their full potential to use. But let's get into the details of the ship we're about to sail in. The Leander has 8 152mm guns with a top range of 13.2 kilometers, 28,700 points of health, 8 torpedoes with a top range of 8 kilometers and a top speed of 32.5 knots. Her anti-air defense system is rated 36, her detection range is 10 kilometers, and the armor thickness goes from 13 to 100 millimeters. For the modules I've installed, we have main armament modification 1, aiming system modification 1, damage control system modification 1, and steering gear modification 2. For my commander, preventative maintenance, smokescreen expert, and superintendent. For a Tier 6 cruiser, the Leander doesn't have anything to be impressed with, really. It all comes to her gameplay and the way you use her strengths and advantages, which is speed, concealment, and maneuverability, to outsmart the enemies you're fighting against. But for now, that's well enough of these descriptions. Let's take the Leander to battle. And here we are, on the map Estuary, Standard Battle. We have spawned on the 1000 part of the map, and I'm heading towards the eastern flank. The matchmaking is alright. We have some Tier 7 ships sailing around, as well as some Tier 5s, so we should have a pretty balanced experience, at least for us, if I can say it that way. The matchmaking can sometimes be really hard for players that are trying to grind the low tier ships and are pitted against tier up to 2 superior. I believe wargaming should consider a restriction to the tier difference allowed in a battle, because out of the fact that this could balance the game a lot more, there's not much you can do, even as a skilled player, against a 2 superior tier. The difference in firepower, armor, maneuverability, and overall health is so large that the disadvantage can be crippling in some scenarios. Don't get me wrong, I love the game and I think it's in a pretty good shape right now. It is just that frustrating issue when you're playing, let's say, a Tier 8. You're most of the time fighting against Tier 10 and not being very successful because there's so much your ship can do outside of your pure skills. But let's get back to battle. We are moving close to the island to try and get a good position on the incoming cruisers and battleships. A major enemy force seems to be heading our way, and I'm going to spot a very audacious Tier 6 Hatsubaru trying to get close for a torpedo run. I immediately engage her with my main guns, and even if she tries to lay down smoke, I'm already dealing lots of damage to her. Guns are reloaded, we take a shot right before she disappears and luckily get the kill with a decent salvo. We earned first blood, and that's how fast British cruisers across all tiers can down an enemy destroyer at close range. That's a good start. I launched my torpedoes to try and deny some pathing. I noticed that an enemy Atlanta, fully broadsided to me, does not seem to be moving very fast, so I'll lead the target and take the shots. So far, I don't need to lay down my smoke. The island is protecting me, and my friendlies are doing all the work spotting the targets for me to shoot at. We're landing good salvos on the Atlanta. I'm trying to aim for the waterline and score some citadels. Maybe we'll get lucky on the dispersion. Our team seems to be deploying to overwhelm our flank, but the western force seems to be at a disadvantage. Even if it's early in the match, I still have a close eye on my minimap to assess where the weaknesses of our defenses are, and for now it seems to be on the west flank. But for now, I will hold my position here for a while. I feel like I have the advantage of cover and that the enemy are not aware of my presence. That's going to allow me to deal lots of damage undetected, and that's exactly what you should be doing when sailing a British cruiser. I can hunker down here and deny some path with torpedoes, surprise broadsided targets with good AP damage. The Atlanta managed to get to cover and disappeared, but I left her with very low health. We have an enemy Grafsby and a Miyoko backing her up, and I'm trying to lob some shells over the island. I was detected for a second and wanted to remain concealed as much as possible, so I've laid down my smoke. Even if I'm still in cover, it works like a psychological thing. If the enemies don't see you, they will most likely act unconsciously like you're not there and don't consider you as an immediate threat. Even if in reality, you're taking chunks and chunks out of their health, little by little, without them fully realizing what's going on. And that's exactly what I was aiming at. But, like I said before, I might have to relocate pretty soon to prevent our team to get flanked or surprised from an angle we were not expecting them to come from. So I decide to go full speed, launch torpedoes in the process, and get the hell out of here before it's too late. We're playing defensive. The enemy force is spread out all over the place, ready to break through, and our team is about to get sandwiched if we don't react. Even enemy destroyers are overextending to try and take advantage of the situation. Unfortunately for her, the enemy Akatsuki was a little bit too audacious and won't be able to do anything against our Cleveland. She gets taken out and the enemy team only have one destroyer left. That leaves us with a pretty good advantage, and we've taken the lead point-wise. But again, it is still very early in the battle and everything can change in a matter of minutes. The dance has begun. I'm moving to assist on denying the western flank. That's where the enemy force are the closest to our base, but we are creating a very good blockade nonetheless. Even if our battleships could be more supportive instead of sitting in the back, we are maintaining a solid defense, and I feel like this might be a good opportunity to try something cheeky. On the east, the enemies are still pushing, and on the west, the battle is about to turn into a close-quarters slaughtering. That leaves the most direct access to the enemy base completely open for me to try and use. But that theory is going to get immediately countered by the enemy Atlanta. She backed off all the way to defend her base and is opening guns free on me over the island. I just got countered in my move, and I have to start evading maneuvers. The Atlanta is a lethal opponent at close range, and my only option here is to close up the distance to prevent her guns from firing on me over the rocks. Then, if she wants to pick me, I'll have the advantage. And the Atlanta is actually going to go for it. I aim at the waterline and score 3 citadels, finishing the Atlanta off. No time to rest though. My position has been compromised, and now the enemies might consider me as a big threat for their base. It would be suicidal to try and start capturing it now. The enemies are still very close and can turn back any seconds to defend it. So I'll lay down my smoke here and try to ambush any ships that decides to push forward. And the enemy Miyoko is about to do exactly that. I've launched preemptive torpedoes. Even if they don't hit anything, that at least give them something to dodge, and I prepare for a fight. The Miyoko knows I'm around, and she is going to try and rush my smoke. I take a first shot and land very good damage. She mostly wants to hydro me up, I believe, and is faced with a dilemma. Show her side to me in order to launch her torpedoes, but suffer huge penetration damage from my guns, or face me bow on and try to close up the distance. She can't seem to be deciding what is her most viable option, but in the meantime, I'm already chewing through her health pretty heavily. I've angled my ship, and I'm ready to go full forward as soon as I feel I'm in danger. But for now, I'm confident that I can take her out. The penetration values on my guns is very good, and even her angle is not enough to bounce my shells. The majority of my hits are penetrations, and the Miyoko don't stand a chance anymore. She tries to turn hard at the last moment to unleash her torpedoes, and I take her out. Just by pure caution, I decide to move immediately after anyway. Her torpedoes might be in the water, and one of our cruisers has broke through the enemy base, so it's time to relocate again. I got forced out of my position, and I might be taking a big risk here. The cooldown for my smoke is 1 minute and I'm going to be completely exposed, but it's too late. I'm already engaged, no turning back now. Enemy Leander is moving to counter our cap. I launched my torpedoes her way, and I'm focusing on this side because I know the enemy ships on our east flank do not have line of sight on me. And in order to not get sandwiched now that we are capturing, we have to work on clearing one side at least. Enemy Leander dodged the torps. She knows I'm a threat and angled heavily against me. She's going to focus down our Aoba though. She has very less health than I do, and since that's 2 against 1, the Leander is going to try and take one out with her. Again, good penetration, even from the bow. British cruisers are not made to be shot at, and that is the cruel example right here. She's making her last stand here, and that's pretty heroic of her, sacrificing her ship for the team. She managed to take out our Aoba and is now turning her guns on me, but she's on fire. She has a friendly battleship on her side, and I'm going to take one last salvo at the waterline and finish her off. She did launch torpedoes at our New Mexico and is going to hit him pretty hard. I managed to dodge the set of torpedoes launched at the Aoba, and we can start capturing the base again. The enemies are pulling a good fight as well, and managed to rebalance the kill counter. The point difference is not that big, and now we are in trouble. Almost all enemy forces are now converging on our position, and I have to anticipate for that. In order to do it, I'm going to have to definitely secure one side. We still have 2 enemy cruisers on the western flank, and one of them, an enemy Nürnberg, is moving back to defend her base. I'm going to move and set up for an ambush. There is no point capturing if you let the enemies have the drop on you anyway. You basically have to switch from an attacker to a defender in a matter of seconds on this kind of scenario, and that's what I aim on doing. Our Cleveland took out the enemy Emerald, and so only the Nürnberg remain. I won't be able to assist our battleship though. It might be very vulnerable against a Nagacho and a Graf Spee, but again, better be that than being flanked from both sides. I'm going to preemptively activate my hydroacoustic search. I'm aware that I will be in range of the German cruiser's torpedoes, and that she knows I'm coming. I know some of you might think it was stupid from me to get out of the cap at this point, but since it was about to be reset anyway with the New Mexico, there was no point staying in my opinion. Torpedoes in the water from both me and the Nürnberg, I immediately cut the power and take a first salvo. Nürnberg's armor is too weak to protect her citadel, even at the slight angle she's at, but she's not going to dodge my torpedoes like I barely dodge hers, and we take her out. We earned Kraken unleashed, and mission accomplished. One side is now finally cleared of enemy threats. Only the Nagacho and the Graf Spee remains now, and we should be able to win this. But they are both pretty healthy, especially the Nagacho, and our force is not doing very good HP wise. The Cleveland is half health, the New Mexico suffered heavy damage from the Leander's torpedoes. Our destroyer, I have no idea, and I took some good damage from the engagement I was in. All this to say that the enemies are far from being done and nothing is settled yet. I have to turn back and set up to assist our New Mexico as soon as possible. He's neutral to the Nagacho and is doing a great job tanking inside the enemy cap. Enemy Graf Spee is sighted behind the island, and the Cleveland opens fire. We need to regroup and form a bulk of force to overwhelm them and to prevent them from picking us off one by one. I'm sending in to be able to set up a smoke where I'll have good shots on both of them. Our Fubuki is in trouble though. He is sandwiched between the 2 enemy ships and is trying to evade all of this while launching torpedo salvos. So I'm going to engage the enemy Graf Spee and speed this up for you guys. The Graf's B did something really smart. She knew she would not survive against the three of us and fell back to her division mate Nagato. They are now about to push together in what could be their last stand. I reached the destination where I might want to spoke up and try to engage them. At that point, I believed they could not win this back. The timer is about to run out in 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and the point difference is so big that this is pretty much a secured victory. I've just laid down my smoke and I'm about to do one of the most stupidest things I ever done in World of Warships so far. I'm not even going to talk over this, because this is so hilarious that I'm gonna let you guys comment down below and just go for it. Just say exactly what you thought that move was, because when I watch it back, it's just embarrassing. Yeah, right? I could have just sit in my smoke and kept to the base to secure a hard-fought victory, but no, I had to pull that idiotic of a move, get out of the capture zone literally 10 seconds before it was done, and get absolutely wrecked 20 seconds later. When I watched this back, I thought I could have lost the game for my team right there, because the Nagato and the Graf's P fought hard until the very end of the timer. They've managed to kill the New Mexico and scare off the Cleveland out of the cap, securing the base and almost making a comeback. We secured a victory by timer and point, and even if it was a very good run with the Leander, we had to ruin it at the end. More than 130,000 points of damage dealt, 9,000 XP earned, and almost half a million credits gained. We've achieved Confederate, First Blood, Kraken Unleashed, and High Caliber. You now understand why I called this video Leander's Decisions, because I think they were all good until that last action. But this aside, we've defended our flank and took the opportunities given to us to attack and almost secured a capture, getting 5 kills in the process. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching it until the end. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, and you're a kind heart, give it a like. And stay tuned, there is more content to come about World of Warships, and the next part of this British Superiority series are coming soon. Until then, you have a good one, and you take it easy.